Oh my gosh. How are you guys doing? Welcome back to Rule of Two Review. So holy cow, I am so excited. I did not expect to be talking about this today or even making a video today. But it turns out that because for some reason I was just insane and not paying attention to what day it was, today was the day that pre-order access to the Star Wars Battlefront 2 beta finally became live. And I have no idea how that eluded me. And luckily, for certain reasons, I happened to just be home today and not working. And once I realized this, thanks to social media, I was like, holy crap, what am I doing? I have to get on this beta and finally start playing this thing and checking it out. And that's what I've been doing, and that's what I wanted to talk to you guys about today. Now, you guys are, of course, watching some random footage that I was able to capture of myself playing the game. I am playing the beta on the PlayStation 4, which is the version that I'm going to be playing once the final game launches next month. And it should be noted that my capture card in my PC does not render or capture video in 60 frames per second. The game is running in 60 frames per second, or at least attempting to run at 60 frames per second, of course. It is a beta. And so you're not seeing that. My capture card only does okay with that, and I have a fairly old PC. So don't take what you're looking at as that kind of accurate representation overall of what the game feels like in beta form. Although, of course, it is still a beta, which means there's a lot of sort of things that maybe aren't so great. There isn't a consistent frame rate for sure. You get some weird chugs. You get a lot of pop-in. There's definitely a lot of pop-in. Things like that. So, you know, they're stress testing the game. It's the first round of the beta. This weekend, the beta goes live for everybody, which means even more people are going to be jumping on. And we know this is the period where they're hopefully trying to iron out some of the final kinks before the game finally launches. So you're probably seeing a combination of a capture card that doesn't render in 60 frames per second, as well as just the beta version of a huge online-focused game. So anyway, let's get to the goods and actually talk about my experience with the beta. I've played for about an hour, probably a little bit longer than an hour, played a few of the modes, everything except for the Starfighter mode, which I did want to try, but I was like, you know, I got enough of the ground stuff I wanted to discuss with you guys. This game has become like the most important game to me, releasing for the rest of the year, just about. I mean, it's the biggest thing. I'm such a Star Wars fan, and this game is doing so many of the right things, most importantly including all three eras, including the prequel era, into this game the way it's supposed to be, and it had me so excited. So how do I feel about the game so far with my little bit of hands-on time with it? It's certainly great. It's certainly scratching that Star Wars itch. Obviously, I'm happy with it. Sure, I'm a fanboy who was just excited to have a new Star Wars game to be able to play in a game that looked so fantastic and exciting, so that's probably part of it. But even stepping aside and judging it compared to EA's previous Star Wars Battlefront, it is definitely a better experience. Gameplay-wise, the biggest thing for me is the reintroduction of classes. This was something that was sorely missed in EA's first Battlefront game. That game was way too simple in that respect. You were just random person number 1, 2, or 3, and it made no difference. And there definitely was an element of strategy in terms of how the class you were affected the upgrades and weapons you would get and how you would work with your team throughout the progression of any given map or match. And reintroducing that into this game was so brilliant, and it feels really, really great. And on top of that, what's great is the way the respawn system feels eerily similar to how some of the older games operated as well. This isn't the exact same, but when you respawn, you actually get collected, you get set up in a group with some other players on your team who are probably dying and about ready to respawn at that time. And there's, I can't even remember now, I just finished playing it. It's either 4 or 5 slots. I think it's 5 slots for respawning players to be able to respawn with you in a group. So that once your 10-second timer counts down, once you're starting to respawn, everyone else who's respawning and reselecting their class for their next spawn starts to come up together. You get a whole group of people along with you, so that by the time everyone's ready to go, and again, this only takes 10 seconds, so that by the time you're ready to go, however many people filled up that group spawn together in one spot. And it's really pretty cool. It sort of helps feed into the co-op feeling nature of what Battlefront is supposed to be, and it adds a lot to the couple of matches that I've been able to play so far. Some of the other big gameplay changes is they were kind of big on talking about how the weapon fire in this game doesn't operate strictly on a cooldown system the way the first game did. There was no true ammo, and there was no actual reload. It was literally just a cooldown system, so you wanted to try not to overheat your weapon while firing. And there was a way to do like a quick cooldown when your weapon was cooling down. If you press the square button in a specific spot, all of a sudden you would be instantly good to go. The way it works in this game is sort of a combination of a traditional reload and the cooldown system, and I think that that's actually really cool. It feels very fun because with our shooters nowadays, we're all so accustomed to just fire, 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 and then instantly reload while you're trying to move around and avoid fire and always be firing and reloading and firing and reloading. Not being able to do that definitely took some adjustment in the first game, and it was fine in that game. I'm not going to straight up say I hated it, but I really like the fact that they brought something that feels a little bit more traditional, but still keeping the element of a cooldown system present in this game, because if you think about it, so many of the weapons are blaster fire weapons because this is, let's face it, the Star Wars universe. We're not using bullets and magazine clips, so it really would have been kind of strange to be reloading, because I feel like you wouldn't reload a blaster fire. They're shooting little blaster lasers, so it makes sense to have it sort of be a cooldown, but you can make it instant and make it feel like you're reloading like in a traditional shooter the way they've incorporated it, and I really have to say that I super love that. The last major gameplay element that I want to discuss based on my hands-on time with the beta is the battle point system, and it's another thing, big surprise, I'm a big fan of. I mean, I'm pretty much a big fan of everything here. The battle point system basically operates the better you're performing in a match, whether you're picking up, whether you're killing enemies, whether you're assisting with kills, whether you're saving your squad mates, whether you're performing actions or achieving objectives, because there's many objectives throughout the match, you're acquiring battle points, and you use those battle points to unlock all sorts of perks. What I don't quite yet know, or didn't have time to kind of figure out, is if you have the ability to activate any of these while you're still using your current spawn, your current life, and running around the map, or if you have to die and fail, and then once you're respawning and you're reselecting your class and your loadout, that's for sure when you can take the battle points you've earned and trade them in for different perks, and that's when you can respawn as like a jetpack trooper. If you're playing as like the clone, I mean, I did a lot of clone trooper stuff on Theed. If you're playing as a clone trooper, you can unlock the jetpack trooper. That's where, if you're playing as the Separatist army, you can unlock the B2 battle droid as opposed to just the traditional battle droid. That's where you're unlocking weapons. That's where you're unlocking vehicles and starfighters and stuff to add into the map. It's also where you're unlocking your heroes. So if you're going to play as Darth Maul or Han Solo, that's where you're doing that. You want to perform better, get more kills and assists and objectives, and save your teammates, so that by the time you do respawn, again, assuming you can only do this in respawn, I didn't have a chance to see if there's any other way to do it. So when you're respawning, that's when you can come back into the match with some sort of powered-up character or vehicle or whatever. I have to say I really, really love that based on my time with the beta, because it really adds to the feeling of progression, so that you're not just getting kills for the sake of having hopefully a good kill-death ratio, KDR, by the end of the match. You're actually progressing to improve yourself, the fun you can have playing, how successful you can be, and helping the odds of your team winning by unlocking all sorts of cool things. And it's a Star Wars game, it's a fan service game, so you want to be able to see Rey on the field, or Han Solo, or Boba Fett, and you want to be able to be in a Naboo starfighter and cool things like that, or unlock a B2 battle droid. Like, those things become super, super exciting, and there's so many maps, and again, we're covering all three eras, so all of the different perks based on the era you're playing in, you're going to be able to unlock with these battle points. Just has me unbelievably over the moon excited, you guys. Like, I just think it's going to be the coolest thing, so I'm really happy with that decision. Now, as far as the modes, again, in the beta, there's only 3 modes to play. There's just a traditional, what it is, I think, Galactic Assault, which is basically just a 3-round objective-based kind of sort of team deathmatch thing. There was, I can't even remember what the Strike something is what the other mode was called. And that was also basically just another objective thing where you're defending something and the other team is trying to get at it. Very similar stuff. And then there was the Starfighter mode, which again, I did not yet have a time to play as of recording this. But I played a little bit of both, and they're both fine. They're both fun. They're a little bit similar. But what's great about the Theed Battle Assault, or Galactic Assault, I should say, is it's on Theed, which is the capital city on the planet Naboo, and it's a great example of the beautiful prequel-era content that they're throwing into this game, which I could just cry tears of joy over. And, you know, there's basically just a huge tanker that's heading towards Theed Palace, and you're either trying to defend it so it can break its way into the palace to allow you to get in and infiltrate the palace, or you're trying to stop it from doing so that you don't have an infiltration into the palace, and if they do, then you're trying to basically stop them from taking over the palace. And, you know, the very first gameplay reveal from EA Play this year basically showed this mode, and it's fantastic. I mean, my favorite part is the fact that it's on Theed and it's a prequel-era map and mode and characters, and that definitely is my favorite thing. But it's certainly a lot of fun. There's a lot of chaos going on this map, that is for sure. It's insane. But once you get inside the palace, it's so cool because it feels like everything you saw in The Phantom Menace. It literally is bringing that film and that planet and that city to life in an amazing way. It is so cool. The other mode takes place on Takodana, and Takodana is where Maz Kanata's palace is. We see that in Episode 7, The Force Awakens, and they recreated that so fantastically. It certainly felt like a smaller map the way I explored it, and it should be noted that whatever gameplay you see of that, or even all of this gameplay here, I suck. I am so bad at this. And to be fair, I was only pretty good at Battlefront 1, or EA's first Battlefront, and even that took me a couple of weeks to get good. I'm not someone who picks up any kind of game, even my favorite genres like a shooter, and is just automatically good. Like, I don't have enough time to play games nowadays to be so mindlessly good at games like this. I just love playing them because it's fun, and I love this because it's Star Wars. So, I'm not trying to impress you with my gameplay. I suck tremendously, but it's still fun to see it, and it gives you an idea of what it looks like. And the other mode is great. It's a lot of fun to do the attack and defense sort of thing. And Takodana, seeing a new sequel-era map created is a lot of fun to play in. I really appreciate that. We got First Order troopers on the field. That is so exciting. I mean, we literally have First Order troopers and clone troopers in the same game, in the same beta, and I just am so in love with everything that's happening there. So as far as negatives go, it's kind of trivial stuff, but I guess it's kind of worth talking about. The biggest thing is probably something that's performance related, and possibly only because it's the beta, and I'm also playing the console version. I'm sure the PC beta and the final PC version on a nice rig is going to run so incredibly smoothly and probably won't have these issues. But the PS4 version, it certainly looks incredible visually, but, you know, it chugs here and there. Like I said, it's a beta. They're stress testing it. There's a couple of laggy moments here and there. Some of the fluidity of the movement of the characters that you're fighting against, I kept running into issues with people glitching left and right and all over the place. And that was kind of annoying and frustrating. It made it really hard to know who I was trying to kill and if I was able to get a kill on them. It was a little bit difficult. Visually, there certainly is a lot of pop-in and draw-in. I mean, literally 20 feet in front of you while you're running, that's where you see grass just start to come up as you're walking or running towards it. It's literally flowing like water in front of you because the pop-in and the draw distance is really not that good. And it's something that's only visual and aesthetic, and I don't really care about that. And it certainly doesn't necessarily affect the gameplay experience. But considering how good the game looks visually, and how much it's recreating planets and scenes and eras and characters that we know so well, you would like it to look as good as possible. And it could be something that, again, in beta form might be fixed with a patch or two, and by the time the game launches or soon after launch, that's the kind of thing that we know they can hopefully fix very soon, and I hope that that's the case. Other than that, you know, it's just with the objective-based stuff, something that I think a lot of people maybe don't have a problem with, but I certainly do, is the kind of chaotic match like these matches where there's so many icons all over the screen. Like, you can go into any different corner, there's 100 different icons that say, go here to grab this, go here to grab this, go here to defend this, go here to attack this, go here to do these things. And it's like, oh my god, there's like 9 icons on the screen at any time. And it's like, I sometimes get overwhelmed with that, and I don't really know that it's my color blindness that lends to that. It could just be not that at all. I sometimes wonder if it could be, but regardless, it's certainly the kind of game that has modes that can possibly overwhelm a lot of players with what the HUD display looks like, and with how much crap they're throwing at you to go and do, and people to save, and people to fight, and objectives to achieve, and things to defend. It's just insane. But at the end of the day, so far, this game is a dream come true. I'm playing prequel-era content in this amazing Frostbite engine in a brand new Star Wars game in 2017. I've been waiting for more Star Wars games. Battlefront looked amazing ever since we saw it revealed in person at Star Wars Celebration earlier this year. Really excited for the campaign. I have read all the way through the prequel novel, which is Star Wars Battlefront Inferno Squad, starring Iden Versio, who will be the main character in the campaign in this game. Obviously, we can't really do much with that in the beta, but I am so excited to play through that when the game launches as well. Not to mention hours and hours and weeks and months and years of online combat once this game is finally ready. I am really jazzed, you guys. The beta was great. I've had a lot of fun with the first hour. I'll be playing it all weekend on what little free time I tend to have. I'll actually be working overtime this weekend, but either way, it's a lot of fun. So tell me what you guys think. Have you had a chance to play it? What do you think about it? Are you interested in playing it? Are you interested in the game? Or maybe you're not, in which case, just like last time, why'd you even watch the video? Hopefully that's not the case. Talk about Star Wars Battlefront 2 below. Guys, thank you so much as always for tuning in. This is Rob of Rule of 2 Review, and I'll catch you next time on another video.